Okay, take two. And I think we're all right. We're good. My name's Andrew. I'm with Brandon. We're from the Yonko LLC, and we are starting our coffee break right now.
Yeah, and so Pandora, star of the channel, my cat has decided not to leave her trailer, so it's just us. I apologize for anybody who was looking for some cat. There will be no
Oh, the
I
star.
know
Where is she?
she was here,
Dang.
and then we had to do the job part of the job of this,
Yeah, got
and she
bored.
was like,
Got
"Oh, this
bored.
is lame. If you guys aren't recording immediately, I'm done with this. Get your
I know. Well,
told me to get it together," and then she walked out. It was a lot.
yeah, we had to spend a lot with craft services for that cat too. So,
Yeah, it is expensive to feed a cat.
yeah.
Well, she walked out. Long-haired cats, man. Long-haired cats. Do you ever have to deal with that? You ever have a long-haired cat?
We have a calico,
Oh, they're
and
cute.
yeah, she's amazing actually. I don't think she's. Yeah, I was gonna bring her on today, but then yeah, she's also hiding as well. So,
Wow, everybody they're unionizing. So
yep.
I hear you wanna talk to me about Kanye.
Well, yeah. So, so we were talking about work, and then we just started to have our normal conversation. So we just started decided to press record. Um, so I don't know if we really have a plan for what to talk about, but I have a bunch of articles that I've been collecting, over the week.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we don't really have a today we're just shooting from the hip a little bit because last week we talked about, art and subjective versus objective and a concept we're gonna come back to
yeah,
later on, but this week, I wanna talk about Kanye.
okay. Well, there is of course like his Twitter feud, which is ridiculous. It keeps popping up on all that, but actually, that's not really what the article is about. The article is about actually this kind of interesting thing. Um, so
Oh, this
we've
STEM player,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we've been talking about NFTs and how NFTs maybe can reformat the music industry and everything like that. And Kanye's going just an entirely different direction, but I don't know, it's kind of related to NFTs, but it's something totally different. So he created this, or I guess in collaboration, I don't know exactly what it is, but this stem player.
Mhm.
Um, and the only way you can get his new album is on this stem player.
Correct.
So currently, yeah, yeah,
I don't even it's not out though yet because it's the whole thing we don't it's doing the Kanye thing where he goes nuts for a while and then an album drops and then he quiets down.
yeah,
This time
exactly.
a little bit too rough, I think. I don't like it.
Well, like, I don't know if it's an act or what, but it's
But,
uh it's yeah, it's a little too much.
so the thing I want to talk about, which is fascinating, we don't talk about this at all. We don't, and it
Yeah,
drives me nuts that we don't. But there, so the big fish of the world, uh, your Kanye's, back when he was on Twitter, your Trumps, probably your Elon Musk's. So if
mhm,
you ever look at those tweets, they say things and it ripples. But then directly underneath them, if you ever go into like the mentions, there are
mhm,
these people, and what they do is like for every tweet Kanye makes, they go, "Kanye is the best. Kanye is super the best." Anyway, here's my album, and I think that it's this amazing. I made a
mm,
song. It's called "Kanye is the Goat," no cap. And every single time Kanye tweets something, they are like on there. I don't know if if they have like a program on there, but
mhm,
there's this entire cottage industry subculture of commenters, some of them with
yeah,
blue checks, some of them with thousands of followers that
gotcha.
exist. It's funny because it's a very Yonko thing. Like it's a very like I don't know how meta we need to get, but it's a very like it's a very internet, very weird little subculture of like they're I don't this they're like feeder they're
Mm,
picking up the scraps from Kanye, and that's how they live, and it's such an
yeah,
interesting, uh, subculture that I don't even think has a name. I don't think that phenomenon has a name.
yeah. Well,
Um
I wonder how successful that is, just I mean, I don't know, it'd be interesting to do a little bit of research just to figure out, like, if that, actually, generates, listeners, or if it just annoys people, or I mean, I'm sure it probably does both. I mean, I guess if you do enough of it, it's probably gonna generate some yield.
mhm. It had to, and it's I'm not trying to diss anybody, but it's very carny. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
it's a very, because a lot of times, like, oh man, that's where it's almost like the lot scene of a Grateful, like Shakedown Street of like for Grateful Dead and stuff. But
right.
it's the because that's where you buy your boot. You don't get your Kanye. You get the Kanye is the best T-shirt or Make Liberals Cry 2024 um, T-shirt there. That's where that's being sold. So it's almost this
Yeah,
like little version of like the bootleg lot area, which is
right.
really interesting. I might have you started with we're going to talk about STEM, and I talked about something completely different. Like
That's fine. I mean, honestly, like, that's what's great about not having planned, you know, so
well, the STEM is super interesting, but I don't know if I like it because I don't need to if a it's a I don't need this. I just give me you can just play it. I don't need to always be tinkering with it. You know what I mean?
well, I think that, what's interesting, like, I'm not like, there's definitely music by Kanye that I like, so I'm not saying I don't like his music, but I don't know if I'm as a big enough fan to buy the sim player just for his album, you know? Which it sounds like that's kind of what's going on here is that, so stem player sales have skyrocketed,
Yeah,
uh, in just 1 day of sales. Yee, is that how you say it? Is it Yee or
I
Yay?
believe Yay is
Yay, okay.
okay.
Like Kanye, okay.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
yeah, it's Yay.
okay, alright, so he was able to, generate more revenue, 2.2 million than 500 million streams. Um, so I mean, like, it's definitely, like, generating sales, and I guess that could, inspire other artists to release on STEM, I guess. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, and so I guess that it could turn. I mean, a year from now, we could be talking about, you know, STEM revolutionizing the music industry. But it's interesting because a lot of the language here is the same that you hear with the NFT language. Like artists taking back control, is basically like what the narrative is here.
Mhm.
So
Apparently also, this is just something that's important for me to point out, it feels fleshy to the touch. Um,
have you touched one?
I have not touched one. I just know
Yeah.
I because when Donda first dropped, it was released on well, he was tweaking Donda so he tweaked Donda after it came out. He
Mhm,
tweaked Donda so much that, it came out on the stem version first just because he didn't stop tweaking it.
mhm.
So the stem version dropped first when he was doing all the, release party stuff that
Yeah.
that was interesting. Um, I don't know, it's interesting that, like I feel like if also it's weird. It would be interesting to see, like, okay, push those numbers up, but can those numbers stay up?
Mhm.
And would it work for some like, it helps Kanye, I guess, but it doesn't help anybody else, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not
Right.
like it's revolutionized how to listen to Donda 2, which is probably gonna be good, uh, but it hasn't revolutionized how to listen to any other music, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it it's almost like releasing a deluxe edition
Mhm.
of it, and then I don't know, I don't I wish I had a better take on it, but
Yeah.
it is interesting, and Kanye West inspires a type of fan that is the price point makes them feel good about it. They like that they're spending
Yeah.
a lot of money on it.
Yeah, and I guess, like, if for that kind of artist, I mean, it probably works, you know? I mean, I guess in the same way, I mean, because if you have, like, this physical thing, I mean, I guess you could compare it to vinyl. I mean, like,
Mhm,
we've even talked about, like, doing vinyl for us,
mhm.
but, there's that physical aspect, there's that feeling you get when you have vinyl, right? And I guess there could be a comparison here of just having that physical thing, especially if you have a certain artist that you love, because just like with vinyl, I mean, vinyl costs what, like 40, $50,
Oh,
for an
yeah.
album?
It
Yeah,
can
so I mean, like,
yeah.
yeah, so like you really have to love an artist to buy vinyl, I guess in the same way that you would buy this.
You know what's interesting is what we don't talk about is which I didn't even realize how the similarities is we're not comparing this to the Wu-Tang Clan album that dropped and was just a single album.
Oh my god, have we not talked about that?
I don't think we have,
Oh
but
my god, yes, I love that. Oh my god. I can't believe we haven't talked about that yet.
oh, it's such a long and strange and interesting story, and
Yeah.
how much I have listened to it is fascinating.
Uh-huh.
Because I've heard parts of it. Now I've heard parts of it now.
Yeah.
I had to follow a really bad dude on Facebook to be like, well, I'm not gonna not listen to it. He's playing it online.
Yeah.
Um, which is, but like that, there is that comparison, and
Mhm.
it's interesting that like that is the thing that I didn't even think about until now,
Yeah.
which is that is something about it is similar, and you can compare and contrast it in very interesting ways.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I guess it's not exactly the same, but remember when the Flaming Lips dropped that Blood album?
Mm, mhm.
It was the album filled with unpasteurized blood, which is okay, Flaming Lips.
Right.
But it's interesting the ways that like, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna take back control," and also music as object is very interesting to me
Right,
because
right.
I say this respectfully, it's Carney again. Like it's funny that like
Yeah.
for so when we think about the music industry, we're like, oh, the music industry, it's maybe 60 years old, maybe 70.
Mhm.
It's not old. It is old, but like we
Yeah.
haven't been recording music for all that long, honestly, maybe 100 years max. And the first
Yeah.
20, 30 of it was not for everyone. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Another interesting example of physical media. Do you remember when they made that vaporwave album that they recorded on a wax cylinder?
Um, I don't know. I'm not sure if I heard about that. No.
Recorded a vaporwave album on a wax cylinder and then sold it.
Okay. Really?
That's
Okay.
very interesting as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
Which-
that's very cool.
it's
Yeah.
just
I'll have
it's
to.
also just the worst way to hold music. I think like
Right.
it's such a bad way to hold. You can't really play it. You just kind of look at it and you're like, there it is.
Right,
There's my
exactly.
album.
I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it's interesting as a concept, you know. I mean, and it's but again, like it's definitely something like if you've got an audience for that who's going to buy it, or not even the audience, if you've just got the money and the means to be able to do something like that, you know, then
Yeah, it's sort of like dropping stuff on 8 track now. I mean,
yeah,
we want a physical thing. Like it's something that maybe the next generation below me. You know what I mean?
mm,
Gen Z or Gen Alpha. Um, they won't need to own a thing. But there's a big
yeah,
part of my brain that just wants to own the thing, and he wants to touch the thing because it's something he
yeah,
that like, I wanna look at it and go, "This is my fleshy stem player that plays Kanye West."
yeah.
And,
Well, and actually, I don't really think it's an age thing because I mean, people. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, and people were saying that about my generation. You know, people were saying that, you know, my generation is not going to want to have a physical album. I mean that, and you know, and they were probably saying the same thing about yours. And like now, you know, people that are younger than us, you know, are buying cassettes. You know, I mean, I have a student who is no joke, 10 years old. And every single week he comes in and he tells me about this cassette that he's bought, like a new cassette, and he's so excited about it. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And I'm like, every time I'm like, are you kidding me? But he is like so psyched about it. So I actually I don't know if it's an age thing, and I don't know if it'll ever go away. You know, to be honest, it's a really interesting thing because, like, I'm kind of half and half. Like I'm okay like living in the digital world, um, but I don't mind having that physical, you know, as well. You know, and so I don't know
it's
if it'll ever really go away. I don't know.
it's funny because I think that's what this stem player is both a thing that exists in the digital world, but it is a very physical thing to touch, and perhaps that's why people are drawn to it, and, like,
Yeah,
that is it's it I mean, I don't it's interesting. I don't know if I would release it only that way, but
yeah,
Kanye likes to play that game. When he dropped, Yeezus, it was just a physical thing for a while. It was just the
mhm,
CD. Uh, and also, he needs to act a little bit more, aware. It's funny. He's one of those dudes who's always mad at the media, and then I want to be like, dude, you are actually part. You're a big part of the media. Just as a heads up, as a heads up. There's a
Yeah.
whole subculture that's underneath you at all times that just kind of exists. I don't know how you want to react to it. If you ever want to go nuts, I'm not a Rogan guy, even though I look like this. Um, but
I like
there's
how
a
you qualify that. But
yeah, but no, there's the whole cottage industry of podcasts about Joe Rogan's podcast.
Uh-huh.
That's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's our time.
Oh, geez, already? Oh my
Yeah, dude.
goodness.
That's why we do it like this.
I know. Like,
It
I know, it's a blessing and a curse,
is
We gotta
the fact that it's good. We never go like, "Oh, man, I don't know how we're gonna fill this time." Instead, we go, "Oh, we coulda kept going," and then
Right,
it's
exactly.
to do it next week. That's the trick we play.
I know, it's crazy.